Peace, peace. Happy now. Now is the vibrate, of course. Not going too far in the future. Not going too far in the past. Right now, this is coming up a lot right now. It's the vibe to remember that it's no rush. Like, take your time. It's no shortcuts. And also dealing with that, like realizing aspects of how you can, pull yourself out of places where you probably, feel like you didn't in too deep or you didn't went too far, like what I'm saying, like you're in a sunken place, so to speak, and gonna get into certain aspects of that. Now if you break your leg after a fall, like say for instance, if you hurry up and get up, like you break your leg, you done fell down. If you hurry up and get up, your leg is gonna break even in more places, you know what I'm saying? And if it breaks in even more places, then that's going to be harder, what I'm saying, more of a difficult thing to fix, so, and I always use that aspect too of like healing yourself. Like if you break your leg, for one, you got to acknowledge like, hey, my leg broke and it needs some fixing, instead of like, oh, I got a broke leg, I'm not going to pay attention to it, I'm going to stay positive and, just not look at my broke leg. Like, no, in order to, heal that broke leg, you got to acknowledge it and, acknowledge it, know that, all right, it does hurt. And then from there, you go to healing it. Because that's another aspect too, is, you know, it's not so much about how did I get here, like, focusing on how did I get this broken leg, it's more important about how can I fix and heal my broke leg so I could walk again and move forward, you know what I'm saying? And again, that kind of goes back to the not too far in the future, not too far in the past aspect. But a matter of fact, we're saying that I'm gonna go through a list of some of the things that helps in general, and then go back to this point. But acceptance of where you at. You are where you are for a reason. So acceptance of where you at with no comparison, no judgment is one aspect of helping you through these situations. Always doing your best, like doing the best that you can do, and doing the best that you can do again with no comparison to others. Like doing your best is perfection, and perfection is doing your best. You're a unique soul with a unique purpose. You gotta do your best, not in comparison of like when in a classroom and trying to see how somebody else coloring book or whatever. It's like, do the best you could do, and you don't have to compare yourself to others. We could model ourselves uh off of certain aspects of other people who may be, already like again in a certain business or something. We can model ourselves off of that, but not copying exactly. Another aspect, being in a high vibrational state, and that slash also doing what you love, doing what makes you feel happy. And we're gonna get into that as well. But being in a high vibrational state and doing what makes you feel good or makes you feel happy. Also, refrain from acting out of fear and desperation. Make sure you're acting out of love. Also, be resilient. Resilience is basically being able to withstand or recover quickly from difficult situations. So you definitely want to be resilient, and knowing yourself to the fullest, and studying your own inner universe. What I'm saying? It's about mastering thyself, like knowing thyself, like the cliche quote, but literally like knowing thyself, knowing yourself to the fullest and studying your own inner universe, and also remembering along with that, applying what you learn and what you know, and not just knowing it, what I'm saying? Like, and that's a masculine situation for sure, what I'm saying? Like, with us being more connected to logic, we learn stuff and we just like to run around spitting rhetoric like, oh yeah, you know about this, and did you know flat earth, round earth, let's fuss about it. What I'm saying? It's like, how can you apply that to, what I'm saying, to align with your soul purpose, not in a little oxymoronic way, not, hey, it could be a part of somebody's soul purpose to sit around and fuss about those things, what I'm saying? No, but again, knowing yourself to the fullest and studying your own inner universe. And last, be now, which, now is the vibrate, not too far in the future, not too far in the past, right now, And again, I'm going to get back into these aspects fully. But again, again, remembering the whole aspect. And again, like I think about, like, if you break your leg, and you try to hurry up. Like, matter of fact, it's the main reason why they have to put horses down a lot of cases, because a horse will break his leg, but all they know is like, oh no, I'm stand up and trot, and then they shit break their stuff even more to where their leg just is like done, like, you know what I'm saying? And just in the aspect of speaking with this comparison, I'm not trying to get into whether it's cruel or not or none of that shit, you know what I'm saying? Everything has its purpose and its destiny. So if a horse does do that, that's on that horse or whatever. But anyway, that horse will break his leg so bad. Most cases people don't have heart. Like, most people use horses to ride them. You know what I'm saying? And nobody could use a three-legged horse or whatever, or a two-legged horse if it broke two legs. But after breaking your leg, after a fall, if you hurry up and get up again, you can break it in more places and make the procedure of healing more difficult. And it's not about how did I get here, like, because that a lot of times too, that takes us out of being present and being in the now. Like, be now. Like, what's the best thing from now? Like, start my YouTube channel. I could have been like, how did I get to a place where I don't have a laptop to do videos? Let me ponder on that. Or I could just be in my moment and say, all right now in this moment, what do I have around me in this moment that could help me, move forward from where I'm at? You know what I'm saying? So I had a camera phone, good. You know what I'm saying? I get to a place where by being now and doing what I got to do right now, I get to a place where I could get a laptop, you know. So how did I get here? With this broken leg is not as important as how can I fix and heal this broke leg in order to walk again and move forward. you know. And again, there's no rush, no shortcuts. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about somebody building up a foundation of a building, or like, the foundation of a mountain, or the roots to a tree. You know what I'm saying? And again, I always use that aspect, like, that has to be sturdy, and that goes back to the root chakra as well. You know, uh, again, how did my root, again, yes, we dip into the past to heal the now, like when it's relevant, dipping in the past to heal the now, just kind of flashing in there, you know what I'm saying? Look at what we gotta look at and to see, to heal right now, or dip into the future to heal right now. But again, it's all about being present and what can I do to fix this situation or heal this situation, you know what I'm saying? And that's fixing and healing too, because if you like your broke leg, then there's nothing to fix. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of us don't want to be walking around with a broke leg. We want to heal it, aka we, in certain situations that we necessarily don't want to, that doesn't bring us joy. You know what I'm saying? So we do what we can in our moment to, to change that. And again, taking your time, you're not going nowhere. And that's another aspect of people with the spiritual growth. Like, oh man, it's going to take me long to stop doing this. Or, to stop going to church and teach my children this and do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. Matter of fact, look, you're going to be around for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Like, and all you got is your moment anyway. Like, what else you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, do what you got to do in your moment. And also with this aspect, looking at my own realm in reality, you know what I'm saying? Because again, in order to even be in a place of realizing these things, I had to, go through these things. That's the whole aspect of being a quote unquote healer or a quote unquote shaman or whatever, for lack of a better word, is being somebody who actually have to heal themselves, you know what I'm saying? Who actually has to go into the depths of their own shadows to do work, you know what I'm saying? And that's the being who could help others do do the same. And my jumps back and forth from LA to LA, from Louisiana to LA and then back to, Louisiana, that had a lot to do, and I had to acknowledge that, like, all right, it felt rushed, and matter of fact, rushing is a sign that you need to slow down. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the rush? You know what I'm saying? Like, and shout out to Miss Blue, bringing this up, the like, concept of like, you already won, you're already a winner. You know what I'm saying? You just making sure you're following your intuition and staying in alignment in that way, and allow for your vibration to raise, and all that lined up. But you already won, you know. And again, though, with my jumping back from LA, I realized, like in both instances, I was kind of rushed. You know what I'm saying? Not so much when I went that way to LA. I mean, it did have some implications of it, and but definitely when I just recently left LA, you know what I'm saying? Like it felt kind of rushed, like, and again, there's the boogeyman not gonna get you, and you shouldn't be acting out of fear. And remember, like, we're we create lesson, like our actions create loops until it's time to break out of that loop. We got healthy lesson loops, and then we got just healthy loops in general. Then we got what I like to call more. So I mean, it's all a lesson, but healthy lesson loops, and then lesson loops that may be like having a stagnant, and we're creatures of habit. So if we habitually like keep just jumping, like running away and acting out of fear here and acting out of fear here, that becomes a habit of always acting out of fear. You know what I'm saying? We definitely don't want to be acting out of fear, because that within itself, takes our spirit from the situation, because our spirit is not going to really help us if we constantly, what I'm saying, not standing in our power and being afraid, and operating from a low vibrational state, you know. And that's why a lot of analogies with stories of, like, you can't be the king or royalty if you're not, like, like strong. You can't be the queen or the king if you're not strong in your energy. You know what I'm saying? That, again, going back to knowing ourselves, uh, and having a strong connection with your inner guidance system. And for me, I look back at both situations and just like, hey, if something, again, I went through it, so it's obviously destiny. So I'm not going to sit and focus on, well, what was how did I get there? It's like, well, how can I help heal this situation so it don't happen again? You know what I'm saying? That's the very important aspect. But again, going through it myself and realizing in both cases I left with somebody, and that was even a situation within itself, and having to realize, like, all right, I wasn't strong in my inner guidance system and what I was feeling, like I jumped on something without really sitting with myself. And again, uh, the red flag itself is rushing. Like, if you feel like you're about to rush to do something, that's the sign to, like, all right, hold on. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me deal with this. And on the flip side, of course, you don't want to, like, just stay slow to where you're stagnant. You know what I'm saying? On that flip side of that. But again, definitely not rushing. And again, there are no shortcuts. And if I'm building a foundation to a building, you know, I'm not going to, oh, let me use let me not put a brick here, not put a brick there, just to hurry up and do this. You know what I'm saying? Or like a tree hurry up and grow its roots, but the roots don't have strong enough fibers because it was like it grew out of shock, so the tree can't grow as tall or it's not as sturdy because the roots ain't strong. Same thing with a ladder. A ladder, and we all could attest to this. Like, some of us, well, you got a ladder, and if the bottom is all flimsy, I'm not about to climb up that ladder if it doesn't have a strong foundation, and you won't be able to climb up as high if it doesn't have a strong foundation. Whole reason why a mountain is so tall to the snow caps is because it has a strong foundation. You know what I'm saying? So, definitely being aware of that aspect. You know, and again, going through a few of these different aspects, and again, uh, the learning process takes a certain amount of time. You know what I'm saying? Quote unquote time. You know what I'm saying? Again, there's no rush. And again, that's another aspect within itself that's the illusion. So there is. So we use the terminology time, and in the same moment there is no time. So technically, what are you rushing for? You know what I'm saying? Like, uh, and also that's the illusion of, like, when you feel like, oh man, I ain't got time to meditate, I ain't got time to to reteach my and I say, like, reteach your children, because it's not your job to, like, you know uh force nothing upon your children, but say, for instance, like, to reinforce your household and how you go about things in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, There's always that moment for that, because there's no such thing as time in the first place. And the more and more I realize, like, being in the moment actually makes you know, like, time, quote unquote, it seems like it's not even passing by. You know what I'm saying? And you do have, quote unquote, time to do these things. Uh, but again, plunging into new experiences before the old ones have been digested can be equivalent to running away, and may lead to even greater problems or confusion. And again, on the flip side, you also don't want to like stay and be too slow in a situation where the healing has occurred, and then you still acting as if you haven't healed that aspect. That on the flip side of that, that could also be, again, the middle pillar. You know what I'm saying? Not too far in the past, not too far in the future, right in the middle, in between the Jakim and Boaz, between the Ida and Pangala, in between the masculine and feminine. You know what I'm saying? Like the middle space. And why a lot of elder religious aspects or spiritual aspects speak to being in the middle space. You know what I'm saying? And again, the whole uh, healing process, you know what I'm saying, is basically to get a control back on our life. When we say control, but you know what I'm saying, to be back in a place of alignment with our inner being, alignment with our inner source. So again, when we get into these states of seeming like, like, oh man, I'm just in a hole that I can't dig myself out of, you know, again, you can, and going through these little steps that I'm gonna go deeper into, certain aspects that could help you, to pull yourself out of these states of being. Because even first and foremost, again, realizing that you haven't, like, you aren't too deep. There's always a way, and first it starts with changing your mind frame and your outlook about it as well. But again, step by step, no rush, no shortcuts, no comparison, no fear. Like, and again, no comparison. Like, cause that's how we end up judging ourselves as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, we not don't compare yourself to, so and so who got a YouTube channel, or so and so who doing spiritual classes, or doing tarot readings, or so and so who just got a business promotion, so and so who just got a new house, so and so. Like, don't compare yourself to them. You know what I'm saying? And again, we've been in this uh, nature of being taught this from society, and and choosing parents that may have taught us this, subconscious that programmed us into this, that creates that vibe. But again, no rush. You rush when you got a broke leg, and you end up standing up too fast, and it's gonna snap into three more places. And the procedure really gonna take a lot of surgery, so to speak. See the blessings of the journey, the roller coaster ride and the ebb and flow. It's no shoulda, woulda, or coulda. You are where you are for a reason. No regrets. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. You know, uh, Again, like, enjoying the roller coaster ride and seeing that aspect of your journey. You are who you uniquely are, and your path is not going to look exactly the same as anyone's path. you know and hence that's why a lot of people, quote unquote, like, may be living like a quote unquote dead life, so to speak, because they're trying to mimic a certain blueprint to the T, where they're not actually being their unique soul, because they just living. And again, not to clown or no nothing like that, but like a sheep, like going along with a certain template, and hence why a lot of aspects promote we, like us as a people, and we gotta do. No, you gotta work on your own self and master your own inner universe, and by doing that, you become a beacon that helps others to master their own inner universe as well. And again, because only you could help you, only you could fix you. And that's why also a lot of religious aspects promote some type of external being for you to wait for. Like, oh, I'm gonna wait for the Anunnaki to come back. I'm gonna wait for Planet Nibiru to come back, and then things gonna change. I'm gonna wait for Jesus to come back, then things gonna change. Buddha gonna save me. Krishna gonna save me. This and that. Like, nah. These, and again, a lot of these things were kind of changed through being passed down, but are energies that are inside of you, and activating those energies inside of you first and foremost. But acceptance with no comparison, no judgment, no good, no bad. It just is. Accepting where you are at the moment and the truth of where you are. Acceptance is to be in a place of acknowledging truth and not being in denial. And again, the key word in acknowledge is, knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Like acknowledging where you at, acknowledging the truth and not being in denial. And this doesn't mean that you have to stay where you are at the moment either, because that's another thing. It's like, oh, well, if I'm acknowledging this broke leg, and I'm looking at this broke leg, that means it's gotta stay broke. Like, no, you gotta acknowledge it first and foremost in order to heal it, aka diagnosis. Do a proper diagnosis, and the key word in diagnosis is gnosis, and gnosis mean to know. You know what I'm saying? Knowledge, and that's also tied into the aspect of being in the Aquarius age, and the age of information, or the age to know. You know what I'm saying? Like to know thyself to the fullest. You know what I'm saying? Like that's and a part of the Aquarius energy is also being eccentric, because when we know ourselves, we could be that unique aspect, unique or quote unquote unconventional you know soul that we are. You know what I'm saying? Like being in our uniqueness. And also another thing connected with the Aquarius energy is being being a humanitarian, in which you're not looking outward, like, let me say the words, like, as you save your inner universe, and I say save, but as you heal your inner universe and do what you gotta do to know thyself to the fullest, you'll be a beacon, and your actions is gonna reflect, being in alignment with mastery of your own inner universe. You know what I'm saying? So again, uh acceptance is to be in a place of acknowledging truth, not being in denial. Doesn't mean you have to stay where you are at the moment, or that this moment defines who you are as a whole. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you do seem like it again, like you're back against the wall, or you're in some type of deep hole or something like that, that doesn't define you unless you stay there and allow it to define you. You know what I'm saying? So that aspect. Not always doing your best that we could do. That's another aspect. Again, not comparing yourself to anybody else's best. Like, your best is your best, and your best even varies within your universe. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you do have energy, or when you don't have energy, your best will vary. When it's a certain day, like when it's Monday or Tuesday, you, for lack of a better word, you know what I'm saying? Not to go off of the days of the week like that, but your best may vary, and I always keeping it real with the feminine aspect. Like, if you're dealing with your moon cycle or not, your best may vary. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever the case may be. A man dealing with emotions in general, because even though we don't have it the same way, you may still have like a like feeling into your emotions or not being into it, and that your best may vary between those different aspects. And again, doing your best is perfection, and perfection is doing your best. And your character flaws, aka negative aspects of yourself, was chosen by you before you came down. Like this, you knew who you were coming down as and dealing with, as a soul. So it's not for you to get caught up in like those aspects, or let them, you know, deter you. And again, no shoulda, woulda, coulda, and no regrets. It's another aspect. So the other one, being in a high vibrational state, doing what makes you feel happy. And being in a high vibrational state doesn't mean because another aspect too, like, of balance in the situation we're dealing with is about equity and not equality. So if a scale is off balance like this, you know what I'm saying, you're not trying to put the equal amount on both sides, because then the scale is gonna stay like this. But equity means, all right, to balance the scales out, I need to put some weight on this side so I can balance it out. Think about like how things been heavy in the masculine vibe, negative aspects, like, so like negativity, acidic nature, low vibration, over logically, being over logical, and and the masculine energy being overpowered, that's this side. And then the feminine side, has less weight on it. In order to balance things out, what I'm saying, you gotta put some weight just on this side. Because again, if you put weight on both sides, like, oh, I'm gonna just give both sides, then not the weight's still gonna stay the same. You gotta put some weight on this side to make the scale level off. You know what I'm saying? And that's connected to the Libra energy as well. You know what I'm saying? With that whole aspect, and that's one of the truths to balance as well. It's seeing that just because you're being a high vibrational state doesn't mean you don't understand the fullness of being, and understand, like, hey, the negative exists for yes, the negative do exist for a reason. The low vibrations do exist for a reason. But again, realizing our true nature and true state of being outside of this realm, you know what I'm saying, like, is being blissful, having that understanding, but not like being in a low vibratory state. Because if you're being in a low vibratory state, you're not connecting with your higher self. And it is what it is. No matter how much you want to argue for if balance is, I gotta stay balanced in my negative, like I gotta focus on negativity just as much as positivity. Like, no, you want to focus on being in a high vibrational state, while understanding that the lower vibration exists for a reason, and not hating those lower vibrations, and understanding the importance of how, because it exists, that allows for you to be in a high vibrational state as well. But again, being in a high vibrational state, doing what makes you feel happy, no matter how irrational it may be, because it may seem like irrational due to like some type of social construct, or subconscious programming from our upbringing that say, oh, you shouldn't just do that to make yourself happy. Like, you gotta work hard. You can't be just having fun and being happy. You gotta do it this way. Like, nah, if you feel like you should up and go and read some comic books, and again, to work place, that's not, you're not being a good worker. You know what I'm saying? You can't just be reading comic books and doing what you love and being happy. It takes this kind of, like, no. What's funny, it was again oxymoronic, is that the hard work is to ignore that voice and make sure you're aligning yourself with the aspect of realizing that it's about following your inner guidance system and your intuition. And your intuition is not super, it's not logical. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's gonna seem like, oh shit, this shit seems crazy. And again, we've been in a society, balancing the scales, we've been in a society that's like logic, 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 you know no intuition, logic, logic. So of course it's gonna seem like, it's like, oh no, that seems crazy, because again, the imbalance, we've been in the over logical place. So of course it's gonna seem like it's something that would throw things off. So again, being in a high vibrational state and doing what makes you feel happy, no matter what it is. And now, asterisk by that, they do have momentary pleasures that may make you happy, like, immediately, but then in the long run, you may not feel well. But that goes to alignment within your own being. Because, say for instance, eating a lot of candy may make you feel good in the moment, but later, what I'm saying, you may have a stomach ache, or it may not feel as good. But that aspect is up to you. Because if you could do it without judgment and without regret, then it could work for you. Like, you eat a lot of candy, and like, you might feel your stomach bubble a little bit, but you just like, oh man, shit, I enjoyed that candy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not to a point where you're like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Then that works, and it's all what uniquely works for you. But again, you know, uh, being aware of that aspect. But again, doing what makes you feel good, what makes you feel happy. Uh, Another aspect: refrain from acting out of fear or desperation, like not being desperate. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should be uh getting a job or doing things out of love. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I wouldn't mind working this job, and it could bring in some revenue, and things will build from there, instead of like, oh, I gotta hurry up and snatch any type of thing, so I gotta try to work a job that I don't feel like working, just in order to make some money. 'Cause that's the whole reason why people can't pull themselves off of the hamster wheel, is because they fearful, and they're not thinking about the long term or what's best. They just stand in that hamster wheel, of like, oh, I gotta, what I'm saying, like acting out of desperation, and you should be acting from love. Because desperation causes you to act from a tunnel vision aspect without considering the future or bigger picture. Again, taking jobs you really don't want and making decisions that provide momentarily relief without building the future. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to, you know, uh, make our decisions in consideration with, the future, and hence why, you know, again, from a human aspect, on the macrocosmic aspect, yeah, we chose to have these oppressing energies and all this, and they are us. It's all us. You know what I'm saying? But again, from the human perspective of it, for just the sake of what I'm speaking on right now, you know what I'm saying? What I was gonna say. Oh, like why trauma is promoted, and like a certain energy promotes you to be in a low vibrational state and traumatized. Because if you're constantly, in that trauma, in that state of fear and acting from fear, you're never gonna like slow down. You know, take the moment to realize, like, wait, hold on, time don't exist, and I value my soul, so I'm gonna take, all right, I'm gonna have to, pull myself away from this job, or whatever it is, and move into something that's more beneficial to my being, like still working, but doing a job that aligns with your soul and with your being. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's being an entrepreneur or working a job, whatever it works for you, or doing both. You know what I'm saying? But aligning with what works for you. And again, the more we align with things that, align with our soul, the more we put ourselves in a high vibratory state, the more we put ourselves in a high vibratory state that becomes our habitual nature. And again, as we work on these aspects I'm bringing up, you'll just see yourself shifting, you know what I'm saying, to the point where, you're now going to be, totally different. And again, another aspect is where people, the whole situation in school taking away your imagination and not telling you that, hey, you are creators of your reality. And whether the creation of free will comes before you came down here or not, regardless, you are the creator of your reality. You know what I'm saying? Whether you want to look at it from the macrocosmic level or the microcosmic level. You know what I'm saying? So, understanding that aspect as well, you know and again, this may cause like, acting out of fear and desperation. It may cause confusion with trusting your intuition. So remember, this is a moment to moment, step by step situation, you know a moment to moment, step by step process. So just do the best you can in the moment of taking yourself out of it. Don't look at the bigger picture of like, oh man, I've been acting out of fear and desperation for so long, I can't trust my intuition. Like, just, operate like piece by piece. You know what I'm saying? Start doing things that align and make you happy. And again, as you put all these things together, what I'm speaking on, it'll all start to line up. you know and again, getting in the habitual nature of clearing your mind, being in a clear-minded state of being before, and being able to listen to your intuition before you take action. And as you start to do, because just the first time you do it, like, think about that. Like, the first time, like, a person may feel like, all right, say for example, you drank every day, all day, and you decide to miss out on your 12 o'clock beer. It's like, bro, I'm not going to drink for this 12 o'clock hour. As much as it may seem like it's little, that's big progress, because then you could work from that. You know what I'm saying? And by not drinking in that 1 hour, tomorrow it could be 2 hours. You know what I'm saying? And the next day it could be three, until it turns into 24 hours where you're not even drinking anymore. You know what I'm saying? But it's a step by step process, and it's not compared. Oh, but so and so just cold turkey and quit liquor, but you not so and so. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, it's what works best for you, and not comparing yourself to somebody else with dealing with these situations. So, yeah, getting in that habitual nature of taking action from alignment with source, inspired action, you know, and building up that strong connection with your inner guidance again. Now, also being, another aspect, being resilient. Remember to be resilient. And again, being resilient, being able to withstand or recover quickly from difficult conditions, you know what I'm saying? Because you got to be able to, you know, uh, be resilient. Like, speaking of a broke leg, how I started this off, like, Resilience, like with just for the sake of what I'm speaking on, not telling people what yay or nay on whether you want to be an athlete or not. But again, like an athlete that breaks their leg, they have to have resilience in order to go back in there. You know what I'm saying? Or a boxer that might get his jaw broke. He got to have resilience. You know what I'm saying? And courage and be courageous in order to, what I'm saying, step back into the ring again. So that's an aspect. Now, be aware on the flip side of this, the warrior spirit, that a lot of us may have. Just because you're resilient doesn't mean to forcefully put yourself in difficult situations. You know what I'm saying? Because again, you're creating a situation where you're always going to be battling or going uphill, and then that becomes your habitual nature of being. Is that you're constantly going uphill. You know what I'm saying? Because as the vibrations raise, we start to realize more and more that you know every single decision we make in our moment is creating the lesson loop of of our quote unquote future. And again, the past and the future is now. But again, for the sake of speaking on it, yeah, like what you do right now goes into your future. You know what I'm saying? So if you habitually like had that warrior spirit, and I'm gonna forcefully put myself in a harmful situation because I know I'm resilient and I make myself, and a lot of that comes from that working hard program and like that programming again of like, oh man, you gotta, do this and do that. You gotta work hard. You know what I'm saying? It's about hard work and being tough and you know what I'm saying and this and that. It's like no, it's about working smart, and not hard. And shout out to Illuminati Congo. He got the songs about heart work. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with the heart work and not hard work. You know what I'm saying? Because the heart it, uh, is that intuition center. Because you got your thought intuition, you got your gut or body intuition, and then you got your heart and your soul intuition. Your soul is in that heart. And matter of fact, again, that heart being in between the two, and no coincidence that again that the symbol for the heart chakra is the six-pointed star, which represents the balance of the masculine and feminine nature, and bringing the that middle space in between the higher chakras and the lower chakras as well. But resilience, definitely key. And also, again, knowing ourselves to the fullest and studying our own inner universe. You know what I'm saying? Again, when we learning about certain aspects and learning about a lot of these things in our growth, it's to apply what we learn uh, to what's going on, not just knowing it just to know like, hey, citrine helps with abundance and prosperity. I like citrine, you know. uh, that's cool, but how can you use citrine to, as a tool to help you, know thyself and master your own inner universe? You know what I'm saying? And we use the word master for lack of a better word, because you don't necessarily, you know, control nothing like in that sense of it, but you do have some type of, again, as your higher self. Because again, whether you look at it from the macrocosmic aspect of like, oh, the control of choice was made before you came down, well, it's still some type of level of like connecting with your higher self and having some type of quote unquote control on things. You know what I'm saying? Because what's the irony of that is like the control comes from trusting your intuition, which allows for you to not like have to micromanage and control in that sense. You know what I'm saying? Like you're just being guided by your inner, by your inner source, your inner being, and that's gonna allow for things to, be in control, quote unquote. So self mastery, learning anything and everything should all point to how can this information give me more insight about myself. You know what I'm saying? Because again, we are a walking universe. There's a universe inside. I don't know, always bring up the cartoon Osmosis Jones. You know what I'm saying? Osmosis Jones or Chris Rock is a cartoon type of thing. Well, cartoon slash like regular movie in that sense of it. But they was inside of Bill Murray's body or whatever, and he had some type of virus, and they personified the virus. They personified the pill he took to heal himself, and the white blood cells was actually like the police department in the body, and Chris Rock was like the main character. But definitely watch that if you haven't, because that goes back to the as above, so below, as within, so without, and that goes also again back to the balance and equity within the body. If my body's been acidic and negative and low vibrational and over logical and over masculine, then it's about equity and not equality. Because again, that means that if in my body, the scale's been looking like this, with the heavier side being that negative and acidic, what I'm saying, putting weight on both sides is not going to even it out. Putting weight on one side is what even it out. And also the aspect of as above, so below, as within, so without. You know, certain cells got to transition within my body in order for me to, like to get in a high vibratory state. That mean the cells that don't want to, vibrate on a higher frequency, that want to hold on to certain toxins and stuff like that, you know, they're no longer gonna be able to exist. You know what I'm saying? Because there is gonna be a shift in this realm. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the characters like Thanos. Like snapping his finger and taking out. Think about like a cell in the body that that snap his fingers and taking out the toxic cells. You know what I'm saying? Those toxic cells chose their fate, or whatever, for whatever the vibe is, where they didn't realize it, or their fate, whatever, or both. You know what I'm saying? Of like not realizing, like, hey, in this moment it's time to heal and get into a high vibratory state and tapping more into spirit and intuition, and letting the spirit and intuition from the inner guidance lead, and not your lower nature and your bodysuit and your temporary humanity lead. You know what I'm saying? Because some people want the temporary aspect and the physical aspect to lead, when it's really spirit. You know what I'm saying? That goes to the aspect of, like, again, some beings not connected to their spirit in that manner. No good, bad, right, or wrong, and nobody better than nobody else in that sense of it. Just the reality and the truth of the situation. Again, and that's why a lot of things are promoted to take you away from spirit. But again, that's the contrast that creates the experience. But Apocalypse from X-Men, you know what I'm saying? Again, like coming the apocalypse, you know what I'm saying? But that's only the apocalypse for those cells in the body that want to stay, toxic, you know. And the storylines go on from the Titans, the old gods, you know what I'm saying, being looked at as evil. Set Typhon, or Set Typhon, that eventually, like when the 18th dynasty came around in Egypt or Kemet, they end up making it to where Set became something evil. That was the first moment where they like, oh, we gonna make the old thing evil. You know what I'm saying? And look at this as something bad. And again, in most cases, all the bad characters in the all the evil people and bad guys in these movies are in most cases representing the actual energy that's connected to spirit and the higher aspect, and they paint it evil so it could work on your subconscious to feel like that perspective is evil. You know what I'm saying? Magneto, you know what I'm saying? Oh, that's evil, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, matter of fact, like this comic book I was just reading, Harrow County or something like that, where these two twin sisters were like a reincarnation, where they basically was like two separate aspects of one energy. It was like an old witch who created the count, like she created Harrow County, like she created the humans and everything. So they all came from mud that she created. So technically, they wasn't real humans. And so one of the twin sisters represented the aspect of being tied to humanity in the flesh, but they painted her character as good, because again, they want to paint that picture in the subconscious minds, because again, we create this reality, and is somebody is trying to, again, that's what religion was for, to paint a certain picture, to control certain beings, you know what I'm saying, to make them not do what they came down here to do, and hence why they call the giants, or the Nephilim, or the great old one, or the Titans, and they're evil. They come from the dark abyss, or from the primordial mother, you know what I'm saying. That's why that is painted to look evil. That Necronomicon, with H.P. Lovecraft, you know what I'm saying? That whole, the fathering the whole aspect of horror movies, and that whole aspect is, again, to program your subconscious to be scared of this aspect. But, what was I going to say? I spoke on the Sith and the Tiamat aspect. But, oh, and with that story with the comic book, and the evil sister was the one that was like, bruh, look, you know, we're creators of this realm, bruh. Our mom created these little beings, and this here for us to, to connect with this realm. But again, they make her seem evil because again, it's not an evil thing to realize like, hey, I created this reality, and I created this reality, and I can create what I want in this reality. You know what I'm saying? That's not an evil thing, but they paint those characters as evil to, again, to program certain souls who are reawakening right now and realizing that that's them. You know what I'm saying? They paint as evil so they could kind of have a control and make you sympathize with people who's fucking over this plane of existence, because again, it's not for us to feel like I have to save the world. In that sense, it starts with your inner universe. There are certain parasitic energies inside of us that's trying to keep us stuck in our humanity, so we work on those inside of us, and it reflects outwardly. You know what I'm saying? Like it changes, where we're at outwardly. Like again, when I was popping Zans and drinking 40s, that was my inner universe. And although chakra healing and crystals existed in that moment, my external realm didn't see that because I was, I had these inner energies that was going on inside of me that projected a certain external, reality. You know what I'm saying? So healing the inside and it goes outwardly. And that all goes back again, as above, so below, as within, so without. And I was talking about Osmosis Jones and like being a walking universe. So many galaxies and dimensions to study within our own inner universe. Like, and that's why all these aspects of like, oh, look at what Kanye West doing and what so and so doing. That's not again no yay or nay, on all pun intended on any of these aspects. But like realizing, like something trying to get your focus because attention, energy goes where attention is. Where there's attention and focus, that's where the energy goes at. Hence, that's why what we talk about, like what we focusing on. You know what I'm saying? Like focusing in our now moment. Because if we constantly focus on the aspect of when I peed on myself in the third grade and just keep focusing on that and focusing on how embarrassed and sad I was, I'm going to stay focused in that, in that reality, focus in that part of my, and that creates a certain aspect within my external realm for me constantly focusing on that, you know. Hence why again all these little different aspects of trolling and being balanced at about how we, deal with social media and what we're watching, on TV and all these different things, gotta have that awareness, and that's why sometimes it is healthy to just fall back from some of it, especially when we're just beginning on our growth and trying to regain, the understanding of how to program our subconscious and things of this nature. Sometimes we fall back fully, and then you'll get to a place where you could, watch a movie with knowing, like, all right, I know Thanos' character is a reverse psychology aspect, so he's not necessarily the bad guy, but they're trying to make that perspective seem bad because of, you know, uh, same thing with like population control. Uh, they created in a negative aspect, but it is like, say for instance, we're changing things in this earth. Like Mother Earth is, this mama matrix is gonna be shifting. You know what I'm saying? And some cells and some, some aspects is not gonna be moving forward, and in this change. You know what I'm saying? AKA, the snap from Thanos, but that's not like because of pop. Like they make it seem like for their, again, they do things, they us, what we created, but like doing things like you got Superman and you got Bizarro Superman, so they take partial truths and do it in their own little afflicted way. You know what I'm saying? Of like they say because, oh, there's not enough resources and and this and that, but that's a lie. You know what I'm saying? But again, they try to mimic from the higher aspect of like it's gonna be a change and a shift in, you know population and stuff like that, and hence why again Disney movies always try to make the gods or the higher energies love humanity, like, oh, love humanity, please love humanity. And it's like, nah, like, to be connected with our spirit, we got to understand our soul mission and realize like it's not about saving beings who, fucking up this realm, you know what I'm saying, and and plan to continuously do so, you know. But uh, again, knowing ourselves to the fullest and studying our own inner universe. Had to put all that in there. But that's the another aspect again to making sure we pulling ourselves from that again that felt like back against the wall, uh, way deep in the hole that seems like it's hard to pull ourselves out of on our growth. And then lastly, you know, as a matter of fact, and that's also with knowing ourselves to the fullest. That's actually what we call magic and synchronicities. Comes from knowing ourselves and aligning with our soul purpose and our own unique journey. Because those synchronicities and that quote unquote magic happens because we're in the now and we're vibrating in the now, operating in alignment with our soul purpose. Because we know ourselves to the fullest. Like I know I'm a great speaker. I know I articulate myself well and do analogies well and could help people spiritually, like with spiritual consultation and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta know thyself, cause just because so and so, which could be it could be like a close, soulmate, twin flame, your whoever, our earthly family member. You know what I'm saying? That feel like things like or they do things differently or whatever, like because again we all got a unique skill set that only us know too, hence why I study in our own inner universe, because as much as we could get to know somebody, there's still a certain aspect where you don't know every single piece of somebody else, and again, like how much does that help you to know everything, every single aspect about somebody else? You know what I'm saying? That's not really helpful in your universe. You gotta see what works for you. You know what I'm saying? And that's the whole aspect of how the magic, quote unquote magic, and synchronicity pop off. But and again, lastly, now is the vibrate. Be now, not too far in the future, not too far in the past. Right now, this is not the ending of the video just yet. But like now, that's the whole aspect. Stay out of your thoughts, because in most cases, your thoughts is replaying some scenario of your past, or your thoughts is like projecting too far in the future. Because even with visualizations, like we could sit and work on visualizations of seeing, that car, that home, that business, whatever it is, that relationship, what I'm saying? We could visualize these aspects, but not to the point where we're sitting always visualizing our future to the point where that sends a message to, you know, spirit that's saying like, oh, I don't care about now. Like I I just hate my now moment, even without saying it. Like you're by keep projecting to the future, it's like spitting on your now. And the same thing with overly focusing on the past. Again, we could peep into the past when it's relevant to the now, peep into the future when it's relevant to the now, but always making sure we're back to now. Because again, remember, now is simultaneously the future and the past. So what we don't have to go so far back or so far forward, to take care of these things, be present, you know. And the end result, basically of all this is, again, the triple H aspect. I got a video I spoke on that. Triple H being habitual healthy habits, triple H, the three H's, and habitually living in a state of alignment through, continuously practicing all these different aspects and implementing them into our now moment. But that's basically it. Remember, time is an illusion, so there's no such thing as not having time to work on yourself. You know, and there's no rush, no shortcuts, no comparison. You know, you are your unique self, for a reason. But, you know, that's basically it. Again, so applying these things whenever you feel like you've reached a, quote unquote low point, or like where you just maybe in a depressive state of being, or just constantly in a low vibrational state, applying these things to your now moment, will help to shift your state of being. So peace, peace. Happy now is a vibrative course, not going too far in the future, not going too far in the past, right now. Any and all donations greatly appreciated. Donation links underneath. Also, Patreon page link is underneath. Hit the subscribe button if you want to subscribe. Hit the like button if you're liking the videos, and hit the bell notification if you want to get notified whenever I do new videos and live videos. Now it's a vibrate. Peace, peace, y'all.